Hi, I'm Gab from One Curriculum. Today we're going to learn about comparators and equalities, what they are and how they work. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and start coding. To start our discussion, let's define what comparators and equalities are. So from the word itself, comparators, these are things that we use to compare two values. We either have the greater than symbol, we also have the less than, we have the greater than or equal to. Let me correct that. And we also have the less than or equal to. For the equalities, we have the equal to denoted by double equal sign and the not equal denoted by an exclamation point and an equal sign. Take note that all of these comparators and equalities will return a Boolean value. Now let's put that to the test. Let's declare two variables. Let x be equal to 5 and let y be equal to 4. Do not confuse the equality symbol with the assignment operator, which is just denoted by a single equal sign, because an equality operation will be denoted by a double equal sign. And now let's print out the comparison of these two using the console method. And let's see whether x is greater than y. And let's run our code. And you can see here that it returns a Boolean value of true in our console. Now let's check the opposite of that, which is just less than. Let's run our code again. And we see here at the bottom that since 5 is not less than 4, then it gave us a value of false here. What about if we change the value of y to 5? And now check this if it's greater than or equal to. Let's run our code again. And it should give us a Boolean value of true, which it did right here. Now let's check that with the less than or equal to now. Now, even though 5 is not less than 5, it still satisfied the second part of the operation, which is the or equal to part, and so it still gave us a value of true. Now let's check that with the equality operator. And now let's check if x and y, which now both have the value of 5, to be equal. And let's run our code. And it's giving us the value of true. But what about if we check that to be not equal? Now it's giving us a Boolean value of false, because since they both have a value of 5, x cannot be not equal to itself. Now let's talk about what if we encountered a scenario wherein we want to combine two or more conditions and we want to have both conditions satisfied before we move on to our code. That will require us to combine two comparators or equalities, and we can do that using logical operators. Now, what are logical operators? From the term itself, it uses logic to do some operations for us, and those logical operators are the and it will be denoted by a double ampersand. It can be the logical or operator, and it will be denoted by these two vertical lines that is right above the enter key in your keyboard, and it could be the logical not. And it's simply denoted by an exclamation point. What's going to happen is the logical end, if both conditions are satisfied, the logical end will return a Boolean value of true, and for the or, either one of the conditions are satisfied will already give us a Boolean value of true. But if not, if you want to do the logical operator not, then what's going to happen is it's going to give us the value of the opposite of whatever is inside that condition. So let's do that in an example to make it much more clearer. For our example, let's use the variables that we've already declared before, and let's add one to that. Let's use the variable z and give it a value of 3. Let's get rid of this one for now. And let's print out the combinations of these comparators. So again, we're going to use the console method to print it out in our console. And first, we're going to use the comparison and check if x is greater than or equal to y. So we've checked that already before, and we got a value of true. So that should still give us a value of true. But now we're going to combine it with another comparison and check if it is also true. Let's check if y is greater than 3. So we know that y is greater than 3. In fact, let's use the variable that we declared earlier. So this first condition we know that it's going to give us a value of true rather, and this one should also give us a value of true. And since we're using the logical operator and both conditions are satisfied, then it should give us a Boolean value of true still. So let's run that and check. And there we go. We have our Boolean value of true here. Now let's check what's going to happen if one of the conditions are not met. Let's copy that. And this time, let's change this one and check if y is less than z. So we know that y having a value of 5 is not less than z, which only has a value of 3. So we know that this first condition is true, but the second condition is false. Now let's check what's going to happen if only one of the conditions are met. So let's run that and check our value. So this was our original combination, and this is our second one. And as you can see, since one of the conditions are not met, it returned a value of false. Now let's check that same combinations with the logical OR. And to do that, it is denoted by these two vertical signs right at the top, right above your entry key. And let's use that here as well. And let's run our code. Now you can see here that it gave us two true values because in the first one, both conditions are true. And we've checked that, combined that with the logical operator OR. So it gave us it returned a Boolean value of true. On the second combination, however, only one of the conditions are true and the other one is false. Now, regardless of the order, whether it be true or false, or the other way around, which is the first one being false and then the next one being true, it will still give us a value of true because only at least one of the conditions has to be met. However, if both conditions are not met, for example, let's delete this equal sign here. And now we're only checking if x is greater than y, which is it is not because 5 is not greater than 5. Let's run that. And we can see now that the second combination gave us a value of false because both conditions are now false. Now let's try the operation not. Now the logical operator not is the least tricky of them all because it only gives us the opposite of the value of whatever we're checking. And to demonstrate that, let's try printing out another operation by using console log. And remember, the not operator is denoted by the exclamation point. And let's put in an operation inside it, which is checking if x is equal to the value of y. And we already know that that is true since we've already checked it earlier. And x and y both have the value of 5. Before we check that, let's print this out first. And you can see that the last value here is true. In fact, let's comment out this part right here so that we're solely focusing on this one. And rerun that. Okay, and I actually nested that in another parenthesis. So let's just remove the other parentheses and run that code. And now it gave us a value of true, but let's enclose that again in a parentheses and put the logical operator not outside of it. Run it, and now we can see that it gave us a value of false because what it does is it takes the value inside it and gives you the opposite, which is if this one is true, then it's giving you something that is not true. That means it's false. And if this one is false, then it's going to give you a value that is not false, which is true.